Mr. Chairman, I'd like to thank the panel for taking the time to be here today. Mr. Duda, great to be able to see a fellow Coloradan here. Always appreciate you making the trip. You talked about active forest management. Can you describe that a little bit for us? What entails active forest management?
Thank you, Mr. Tipton. Active forest management includes everything from the application of prescribed fire on the landscape to fuel mitigation activities to removal of timber, both in the wildland-urban interface and as equally important across the landscape.
Great. You know, has it been your experience, do you believe that this active forest management should also include implementing authorities similar to those in the Healthy Forest Management and Wildfire Act of 2013?
Absolutely.
I appreciate that answer. We've got to be able to get our folks actively involved. And Mr. Hubbard, you are a former Coloradoan, and appreciate having the opportunity to be able to visit with you. You'd noted in your testimony that you can only manage 4 million acres, and we have 65 to 82 million acres of our land that is currently at risk from wildfires. Is that correct?
That's correct.
That's correct. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to, and if we can pull up, we have the graph displayed up here. We're seeing right now, we had about 4 billion board feet that was started to be burned in 1983 to 85. It has now increased to better than 9 billion board feet that are burning. If we look at the graph bars that are showing there, we see as our timber harvesting has gone down, actually the threat of wildfire is increasing. So would it be a sensible policy for us to be able to get in, actively manage that, to be able to open the door for our timber industry, to be able to harvest those trees and help create forests, healthy forests?
The Forest Service would like to see more active management, without a doubt. We know that scale and pace needs to be accelerated to restore those landscapes. And while we're behind like this, it becomes increasingly important that we pick our priorities right to protect those communities, and that means engaging with the tribes, the states, and the local governments in deciding where we place those trees.
So is the Forest Service, because I know you're aware in your written testimony you'd spoken to, the one timber mill that we now have in Colorado, one timber mill in Colorado down in Montrose, they'd like to be able to operate 24 hours a day. We've got a lot of smaller ones as well. Are you willing to make that commitment to be able to open those forests up for responsible harvesting of that?
What commitment I can make is that I know that the Forest Service did assist the region in making more resources available to help the Montrose mill with supply.
And to be able to keep that going through. Would it be a sensible approach from the Forest Service when we're talking about the inability to be able to manage these forests? Right now in the budget that was presented by Chief Tidwell, they are proposing to spend $60 million on the acquisition of more land when we're saying we can't actively manage the land we currently have. Wouldn't it be a better use of that money to be able to go in and treat forests?
I believe that those proposals, those budget proposals, have differences of opinion in them, and it's a process. We're early in that process, and we hope to have more engagement in the dialogue.
Well, and I hope, you know, we seem to have unanimity of opinion that our forests are at risk. It's hurting our watersheds, it's hurting our environment, it's hurting endangered species, and we're saying let's acquire more land that we can't manage too. Let's take those resources and put them to actually help address the threat to human life and habitat. Wouldn't that be sensible?
Yes, it would be sensible, and we would welcome the dialogue.
Great. You know, I'd like to talk a little bit about the importance. We have a lot of discussions here, and mothers, fathers, grandparents that are here, we all care about our children. An important component for us, Mr. Duda, in Colorado, you mentioned about managing the state trust lands as being able to fund secure rural schools. A lot of that is off of timber harvesting. Mr. Rohde had mentioned that as well. If we could give some advice to the federal government, shouldn't it be to have responsible timber management to be able to help support education, to be able to educate our children, and to be able to create a healthy environment?
Yes.
I appreciate that. Mr. Rohde, do you have a comment on that?
It's a proven fact the school trust system is a working system all throughout the western states. Absolutely.
Well, thank you. With that, I yield back, Mr. Chairman.